Hello, Merry Meet. So today I want to discuss the magic circle and basically some more details about it and whatever or not it is actually needed for magic to work. Because there's a great deal of confusion about this in many people, especially since there's so many authors that basically says this is what's gonna happen. You're going to have a magic circle for absolutely all magic. While in reality, there's so many magic systems that do not use a circle. For example, a lot of different kinds of folk magic never used the magic circle, or indeed didn't even make any form of sacred space. It was basically just some sort of ritual act that was believed to then have a magical effect. A classical example, for example, being the idea that if you cut up a potato in two and you rub a wart with it and bury that potato, the wart will disappear as the potato is rotting. And it is basically the same idea that in a lot of different kinds of magic, you have the idea that you can prick your tooth with a splinter from a tree and place it back in the tree, and you will be rid of a toothache. And there's a lot of these things in folk magic that we basically just do that symbolic deed. There is not a lot of circle and ritual work in addition. And if you look at old scriptures of magic, some of them have the idea of creating sacred space and others do not. So yeah, for example, if you look at the Egyptian system, it generally some of these systems have a sort of sacred space, but it does not have the typical concept of a circle. And basically how a circle has come into neo-paganism and Wicca is through ritual magic, where in ritual magic a circle is extremely important. Look at one of the first rituals most people learn when it comes to ceremonial magic, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, which is basically a circle casting, and many people use that before they do any other kind of ritual work. So yeah, now the circle is an important tool, but one shouldn't basically get so dependent on a tool that one forget that one can also work without one. You can say that within Wicca, there are basically 3 reasons to have a circle. One is, like I said, it's the creation of a sacred space. And a lot of different religions have this idea of creating sacred space. Christianity have it by consecrating grounds, and they also consecrate houses, they consecrate a lot of things to make it sacred. But there's so many other religions that have the same idea of creating sacred ground to which you can communicate with the gods, spirits, or whatever that religion believe in. Creating sacred space sort of takes the physical place that you are working in and places it spiritually between this world and the next. It's like the original, basically the High German word for witch is Hagazusa, which means fence rider. It is the word that the modern German word for witch, Hexe, which is also the word hex, and the Norwegian word for witch, which is hex. Where all of these words comes from is from Hagazusa, and so in the Northern European tradition, the idea that the magic user is somebody who stands between 2 worlds is extremely important. But in other systems too, for example, in the Rider-Waite tarot deck, you see the magician standing there pointing one arm towards the skies and the other one towards the ground, meaning that he is standing between the heavens, the spiritual realms, and the earth, the physical realms. And that is basically where you place yourself when you create sacred space. Another important thing that a circle do is that it becomes a way to store up energy until you're ready to use it. Let's say, how can we do an analogy for this? Yeah, let's say that you are doing a spell, but it needs water. So it needs 1 gallon of water to work. To cast your spell, you need to use a gallon of water. And you're standing by a stream, but you have to have water that you can carry with you. Now, basically, you can of course go like this and run to the place where you are going to cast the spell and put little minuscule pieces of water on the ground there for each time you dip your hands in that stream and run over. Or you can have this big 1 gallon canister, just fill it up, carry it with you, and there you go. And a circle then is like that canister. It becomes a way of storing up energy until you are ready to use it. And as such becomes an important tool in energy work because basically you can then start, just continue building power, building power, building power, building power, and then releasing it with the circle keeping this in. And that is extremely efficient and extremely useful because it allows you to build up power over time instead of having to carry all of it at once, or basically be doing it in very inefficient ways. The third reason within Wicca and neo-paganism, and why I'm making this distinction, is that there are several different traditions, paths, and so on that uses circles, and not all of them have the same ideas about why. And if we are going to discuss all of them, we are going to stay here until tomorrow, and I can't do that because I'm soon heading out the door to play some Magic the Gathering with my friends. So we have to stay within the sphere of neo-paganism right now. And basically the third reason is for protection. This is very much taken from ritual magic, where it is believed that the circle becomes a barrier that anything that you do not want touching you will not get at you. So it protects you from the energies that you are working with, becomes like the protective gear of somebody who works with nuclear wastes and so on and so forth. It is a protective barrier. And all of these three is quite important. I think that actually the absolute most important aspect of casting a circle is the mental part. Because by doing this ritual theater, you get into that spiritual mood because it all have to do with you yourself believe it. Basically, you can say that magic is all about belief. And for most people, it is easier to believe that I cast a circle, I summoned elements and gods and spirits to help me within this circle, and then I uttered my wish, and now this will happen. That is easier to believe than, well, I just sat down, I thought about what I wanted, and I said, no, well, this is coming into my life now. Boom. But if you can believe the second part, it will be just as effective, but it has to do with basically ritual often being a form of theater for your mind. And yes, now however, does that mean that you always need to cast a circle when doing a ritual? No. Because I know a lot of pagans that have a tendency to, and I'm here talking about neo-pagans, said, no, I really, really want to cast a spell for such and such and such when I get into such and such situation, but I just don't have a time to do a half an hour circle casting before I do it. And I said, but don't. Then just do whatever you feel that you have to. If I am having a headache, I am not going to stand there and calling quarters and envisioning energy circles around me and magical domes. I am going to light a blue candle for healing and just ask my guardian spirits or the gods or whatever I feel like at the time to help heal me of that headache. In fact, I would say that 90% of the spells I use are not part of a circle. I generally cast circles for things like religious holidays or for the really big important spells. But for all of the little things that I do during the day to help improve my life or to just train, I generally speaking do not cast a circle. You can say that I cast a circle once a day because I do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram daily. And that is a circle casting. That's the core of it. It's a circle casting. But for most of the things, I don't. So, for example, very often if I want to manifest something, I will sit down, I will focus, I will open myself up to energy and feel it flow. And then I will just come up with a little chant in my head to represent that wish, and I will just envision that energy going out into the cosmos and accomplishing my will by saying that little chant. It'll take me, I don't know, 3 minutes, and that's all I do, and it's generally pretty effective. But it all depends on what do you feel that you need. If you feel that if you just light a candle and ask for healing, or perhaps ask a green candle and ask for good luck, or before you're going to an exam, you light a yellow candle and ask for self-confidence, and basically if you do these things but you feel that it's not effective if I don't have a full circle casting with the incense and candles in each of the 4 quarters and a full setup of holy tools laid out before me and 3 tarot readings before I get started. If you feel that then your magic is not effective, it will not be effective. It's basically EA Coyoting, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm sorry if it isn't. He's does videos about black magic. Anyway, he has a video about what was it called? Hereditary witches with black magicians, and he addresses that in a pretty good way. The idea that basically for him, he needs that ritual setup because his system is basically a ceremonial one, while he has seen some hereditary witches just basically go in there, say a little chant, and get an amazing result. So I basically believe that you need to do whatever methods that works for you, whatever gives you that feeling of it being magic. Like my teacher once said that usually when people start out with magic, then you have the rituals, you have the whole 9 yards, and as time goes by, people use less and less and less and less and less tools because you get more and more and more confident that these things are actually working. So and for me, I generally speaking don't need a ritual, but sometimes I use it because first of all, it gives me that religious feeling, in and of itself, I could get the same concept of basically, for example, doing a full moon ritual, or just lighting a candle, or just going out moon gazing, or doing something like that. But doing a ritual gives me that religious feeling, so it's good for me. But also when I'm doing a spell and doing it in a circle, I spend more energy on it, and I use that tool of it gathering energy. But the main focus for me is that then I spend more time. It feels like I am making more of an effort, and therefore, of course, I am giving more energy to it. So I do that for the big and important things. So, yeah, I know it's very easy to get the feeling that a circle is absolutely important. It's of maximum importance if you just read the various books on neo-paganism, because it's mentioned there all the time. And now, don't get me wrong, being good at casting a circle is a very important skill. It's definitely something that you will find use of. However, it is also important not to limit yourself to say that, no, you know what, I had 5 minutes before I have to head out the door, and I should have had that ritual done. I really want to do a little healing ritual for my grandmother who's sick, but I just don't have time to a full healing ritual. Yeah, then get a picture of your grandmother, get a healing stone, put the stone on her picture, say a little prayer over it, you're done. Basically, you shouldn't be completely tied down with it. And I think that one important way to not get completely tied down to it is to remember that there are so many different systems and so many different cultures and spiritual beliefs that do not use a circle casting before doing ritual, before doing magic. And reading up a bit about those, instead of just about what is common within neo-paganism today, can be an enormous boon in not tying yourself down to the tools of this system, but rather using it as a tool instead of a shackle. So yeah, that is what I wanted to say. I hope you have a great day, and blessed be.